Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trail Talk. We're just a few minutes behind schedule, but we shared our computers with some other people today. So actually, it was a Texoma Gives meeting, and just kind of get that in your mind because we're going to be talking about Texoma Gives a little more in the future. At any rate, today we are talking about Oklahoma Olympians Volume 2. I will not be repeating any of the Olympians I talked to you about last week because there are so many people from Oklahoma who have gone to the Olympics. And I'm not even talking about gymnasts or softball players or baseball players who came to Oklahoma to compete at the university level and then went from a university to the Olympics. I'm talking about people born, bred, raised right here in Oklahoma, born, bred, or raised. Maybe I should say it like that because not everyone grew up here. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump. Oh, I'm Edie, coming to you live from the classroom studio here at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma. And our first Olympian is John Godina. He was a shot put and discus competitor in '96 and 2000 in the Olympics. And he was born at Fort Sill. Did not grow up in Oklahoma, but hey, he was born here. He is an Okie at heart, I'm sure. He was recognized as one of the greatest throwers of all time. And he set numerous records. In the '96 Olympics, he won a silver medal. In the 2000 Olympics, he won a bronze medal. Then went on in 2001 to have one of his best seasons ever in his career, winning world indoor and outdoor titles and performing all year long as the world's best shot putter. Amazing. Now, this picture is of him throwing the discus. I don't know if you guys are avid track and field fans, but throwers are some of my favorite athletes. I mean, you look at someone who's a thrower and you think their bulk, their muscle, and all of that is what makes them a good thrower. But I'm telling you, it is about precision. It is about timing. It is about footwork. There is so much involved in being a good thrower. And so in '96, when John Godina qualified for the Olympics the first time, he qualified in the shot and the disc. And that was the first time an American Olympian had done that since Bud Hauser did in 1924. So it was over 70 years later. And he did the very same thing in 2000. And I'm going to say hi to Bethany. How are you? And I'm going to talk to Bethany a little bit later, but I'm going to carry on with this for right now. Okay. Anyway, introducing John Godina, great Olympian. The next Olympian I want to introduce you to is named John Smith. Now, John Smith is from Dale City, Oklahoma. And honestly, if you're from Oklahoma and have never heard of John Smith, I don't know where you've been. He is world renowned as a wrestler. Okay, my camera person is kind of having a blank look on her face. So he went to college at Oklahoma State, was prolific as an NCAA champion. His record when he was wrestling for Oklahoma State, 154 wins, 7 losses, 2, it looks like maybe those were ties. I didn't know that you ended in a tie, but it's 154, 7, and 2. But something I forgot until I was gathering this information is that John Smith had a teammate both at Oklahoma State and in the Olympics. Our next great Oklahoma Olympian is Kenny Monday. I completely forgot that they wrestled at the same time. Kenny Monday was phenomenal as a wrestler. He was from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He wrestled, of course, you can see he was a much bigger guy than John Smith. He was one of the lighter weight wrestlers, Smith was. But in let's see, let me get this right. So Monday was a wrestling phenom from a young age. Like he did not lose a single match from 7th grade through high school. I mean, this guy was a power to be reckoned with on the wrestling mat. He went to the same Olympics, 88, where he defeated the reigning Olympic champion, Dave Schultz, in 2 straight matches for the Olympic spot. So Schultz was another U.S. Olympian. And he went on to claim the gold medal by defeating a world champion from the Soviet Union in overtime. I'm certain I was watching that match because when the Olympics are on, I'm glued to the TV. But he was the first African-American in USA wrestling history to win an Olympic title. Way to go, Kenny Monday. The next year, he won a gold medal, defeating the 88 Olympic champion from the USSR, who moved up a weight class for the 89 World Championships, and Monday defeated him as well. In 92, he won the silver medal, and he went to the 96 Olympics in Atlanta. He placed 6th there. So well done, Kenny Monday. Now, he was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2001 as a distinguished member, which is the highest honor. And in 2018 became the 5th American freestyle athlete to be inducted to the United World Wrestling International Wrestling Hall of Fame. Wow, right? Proud of our Oklahoma son, Kenny Monday. And then he went on to coach as well. You know, I love it when someone has special skill and understanding of a sport or almost anything, and they're willing to turn around and share all of that wealth of knowledge with their students. That's a great thing to do. You've been gifted, pass that on to somebody else. All right, the next Oklahoman I would like to introduce you to, his name is John Lamb Jones. But if any of you are, let's see, they would have been Big 8. This was back in the days of Big 8. I'm going to say particularly football. The Big 8 conference, you know, we're Big 12 now. But in the days of the Big 8 conference, the University of Texas had 3 running backs who were all at school at the same time, and their names all happened to be John Jones. Well, Lamb Jones was from Lampasas. Is that how you say that? Lampasas, Texas. Ham Jones was from another town that started with the letters H-A-M. And Jam was the 3rd John Jones, and they just picked Jam because it rhymed with the other 2. But that is how you told those 3 apart. And I remember watching the football games and knowing that it was Ham, Lamb, and Jam out there carrying the football for Texas. And so John Lamb Jones wasn't just a great football player, both in college and as a professional, but he was an Olympian. Now, I know he played for the University of Texas. I won't do, okay, I did, yeah. He was from Oklahoma. We're sad that he chose to go to the University of Texas to play football. That's all I'll say about that. But before he even went to college, He was an Olympic sprinter. Can you believe this? At the age of 18, he qualified for the U.S. Olympic team, and he won a gold medal in the 4x100-meter relay at the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, Canada. Wow, I just find that to be so great. And he was born in Lawton, Oklahoma, just up the road from us here, not very far. He won the gold medal running the second leg of the sprint relay, and they set a world record time of 38.33 seconds. Those guys were flying around that track. Anyway, we are proud to say that Lamb Jones is another Oklahoma Olympian. Okay, now I want to introduce you. I know some of these pictures are super clear and some are not as much. And it's just that there were tons of Lamb Jones pictures in football uniforms, but that was the only one I could find of him in his USA track uniform. So this again is a very blurry picture, but this man's name is Ray Norton. He was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he competed in the 1960 Olympics in Rome. Wow, how cool would that be? After he graduated from high school in 1955, he went to university in California, and at San Jose State, he began to get some national recognition for his skills as a runner. Now, these were in the days when the races were 100 yards, 200 yards. You know, everything is meters now, but these were back in the days when the races were in yards. And he won 3 gold medals in 1959 at the Pan American Games and was voted Track and Field News United States Men's Athlete of the Year, the inaugural award. So he won the very first award of that kind ever given out. So in 1960, he was still on his game, man. He was setting records in all of his events, running really, really well, and qualified for the 100 and 200-yard races in the 1960 Olympics. And because he won both of those events in the U.S. Olympic trials. Then in the Olympics, he had just a terrible race day and ended up coming in last place, well, 7th, I believe is what this said. Well, it just says last in the 100 and 200 meter finals. So that, depending on how many were in the finals in those days, I'm going to say 6, 7, or 8 probably. Anyway, he was last. He did make it to the finals. But that day, the day he lost his 100 race, became known as Black Thursday because several other American favorites also lost their sprint races that day. And so it was just one of those things. This story really brings home, I think, the great disappointment that any Olympian experiences when they get one chance every 4 years to compete in an event. And they work so hard for all of those years, training, complete dedication to their sport, only to have a really bad day. And all of those hopes and dreams are just gone. I mean, I can only imagine how down this guy had to have felt. And then to make matters even worse, they put him on the relay, the 4x100 relay. Of course, I mean, he was the fastest American runner. And he was the second leg. And actually, they finished in a world record time of 39.4 seconds. But they were disqualified because he took off too early and they were out of the zone when he got the handoff from the teammate who had the baton first. And so they didn't even get to win a medal for that race. So just heartbreak after heartbreak for Ray Norton. But as a side note, he was dating Wilma Rudolph in those days. And, you know, she was a phenomenal women's track star. And she went on to win a race, and she said she won it for Ray, which I thought was kind of a sweet story. I thought that was for free. Okay, next great Olympian from Oklahoma is this guy here, Shane Hammond. So Shane Hammond is, he is from Oklahoma City. He grew up in Mustang, and his story goes that he grew strong by lifting large pallets of produce for his father's fruit market. So I'm thinking they were some really big pallets. I don't know how a person would lift one, but so he was very agile, I guess you could say, and very athletic from a young age. He played soccer for a long time. He played football for a couple of years. He wrestled. He also played basketball and can dunk the basketball. So he's really got jumps in those legs. They're not only powerful for lifting weights, but he can spring. He's only 5'9". So I would love to see a video of him dunking the basketball. I just think that would be amazing. But he was a power lifter. So there is a difference between being a power lifter and like a competition weightlifter. So he was a power lifter prior to the 96 Olympics, and he watched the competition and decided he wanted to compete. And so he pushed himself for 4 years and qualified for the 2000 and 2004 Olympic Games. So leading up to all that, he even held a record for lifting. It was over 1,000 pounds on a squat, which is the one where this is what he's doing right here. Their hands are all the way extended, and they sling it up over their heads as they go down, and then they have to make themselves stand up. And man, over 1,000 pounds. He doesn't hold that record anymore. Someone broke that. But at one time, he held every American weightlifting record in his class. In the 2000 Olympics, he finished 10th. And in the 2004 Olympics, he finished 7th in his weight. I mentioned basketball. He also plays golf. And despite weighing 350 pounds, he can hit a golf ball 350 yards. So this guy, he can also do a standing backflip, which is something else I would like to see a video of. How about you guys? Anyway, he's done some commentary during Olympic Games, I'm sure, for the weightlifting competitions. And now he's kind of a motivational speaker and also supports Rachel's Challenge, which goes back to the Columbine school shooting, and the young woman named Rachel who was killed there, and her family started this Rachel's Challenge. And so anyway, they are competing. That is something that he does. So anyway, well done, Shane Hammond. We are very proud to say you are an Okie. All right, next. This is Solomon Butler. Now, these pictures are very old, you can tell, but look at how clear and great these pictures are. This one is a little bit sad, but let me tell you about Solomon Butler. He was born in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. His father was from Alabama, and he was born a slave. His mother was from Georgia. Butler was born in 1895, I believe. Grew up in Kansas, but he was born in Oklahoma. Anyway, he went to the University of Dubuque, and he was one of the greatest athletes of all time that they could say from their university. But I think when you hear all of his accomplishments, you might think he was great, just period, greatest athletes of all time. He earned letters in football, track, baseball, and basketball while he was in school. He won the 100-yard dash and broad jump at some competitions, and went to Paris, where he set a record of 24 feet 10 inches in the broad jump, and then was able to attend the 1920 Olympic Games. He went to, those were held in Belgium, and he pulled a muscle on his first jump. And that's what this picture is. That was the end of his competition. He could not jump anymore because his injury was so severe. I mean, look at the poor guy, he couldn't even walk. Another one of those tragic stories of someone who trained and worked so hard to get to go to an Olympic Games, only to have his hopes just kind of squashed by a stinking injury. You just don't ever know. That's why I love the Olympic competition so much. There's just so much passion involved and so much emotion wrapped around everything that those athletes do. But he was the first African-American to quarterback a team for 4 years straight in college. He played professional football, even played with Jim Thorpe, who I introduced you to last week, another great Oklahoma Olympian. They played on the Canton Bulldogs team together in 1926. Then in his spare time, he played baseball. At the age of 30, pitched professionally for the Kansas City Monarchs of the Negro League. Then he went to California, played basketball for a while, opened a restaurant, and appeared in numerous films. So I'm going to say that Solomon Butler did not let his disappointment at the Olympics get the best of him. He went on to just have a very kind of a highlight reel kind of career in sports. But thank you for representing Oklahoma, Solomon Butler. Okay, next, this smile. You guys recognize Wayman Tisdale. What a beloved Oklahoma athlete. Now, he was born in Fort Worth, Texas, okay, but he grew up in Tulsa, and his father was a pastor of a church there. And so such a figure in the community of Tulsa that they named a stretch of highway after him after he passed away. And then Tisdale's brother took over as the pastor of that church. But when he was growing up, he didn't even like to play basketball. He was the youngest of 3 brothers. And when the other 2 would play, he'd go play for a while and then just give up and go do something else. It wasn't until he was in the 8th grade, and get this, in the 8th grade, he figured out he could dunk the basketball. So I'm guessing he was pretty tall by 8th grade. And that was when he decided he wanted to give basketball a shot. No pun intended on that. So he always called his first love music. And if you followed him, you know that he had a really big time jazz career after playing basketball in the NBA. But because he loved music so much and always had played at the church his father pastored, that when he was at the University of Oklahoma playing, Coach Tubbs changed the time of the Sunday team practices so that Wayman could play music at the church on Sunday mornings and then come back to Norman for practice. So, I mean, he's just such a great guy. Number 20, well, you can't see this is USA coach, but he was number 23, which was retired after, let's see, would that have been, after he passed away. And then Blake Griffin came to OU, and they took his number out of retirement and let Blake wear it. But Blake talked to the family first. I mean, it was a whole big, it was done the proper way. But while he went to Booker T. Washington in Tulsa, and then at OU, he averaged a double-double his freshman and his freshman season. He still holds the record for the most points ever scored at the University of Oklahoma, the most points scored in a game of 61. Well, and the most points are his career points of 2,661 points. He was the second pick overall in the draft. But the Outstanding Freshman Award for the NCAA is actually called the Wayman Tisdale Award. But he competed while he was in college for the U.S. men's basketball team in the Olympics 1984, where they won the gold medal. He tragically died in 2009. He was pretty young. He had bone cancer in his leg and was going through some treatments and died from a side effect of those treatments. So very sad day. Over 4,000 people attended the memorial service they had for Wayman Tisdale. But thank you, Wayman Tisdale, for representing Oklahoma so well in the Olympics. All right, now I want you to meet a pole vaulter. How cool is that picture? I know it's a little bit fuzzy, but I thought it was such a great picture. This man's name is Dave Roberts, and he's from Stillwater. He attempted to make it to the Olympics in 1972, but got fourth place. Fourth place is the worst place to win because the top three are the ones who get medals. They're the ones who get to go to the Olympics, all that. But 4 years later, he won the Olympic trials in style. He was going for a record of 18 feet, 8 1/4 inches, and his pole broke. It hurt his hand and arm. He was afraid he broke his hand, in fact. But he didn't have another pole. A fellow pole vaulter who was at the trials loaned him a pole. He went on to break the record and qualified for the Olympics. Then in the Olympic Games, they give the height in meters, but you know, it's roughly like around 18 feet. At the Olympics, he and two other athletes cleared 5.5 meters. And then he passed the 5.55 meter vault. The other two didn't clear the 5.55 meter vault, but because he passed, he had to clear 5.6 meters to win, and he never cleared it. And so they go back to how many misses. It started raining. They had to call them vaulting. They go back to misses, how many misses they had. The other two vaulters did not have any, and he had one. And so he ended up with the bronze medal. The moral of that story is don't pass a height. Do not pass a height, not in the middle, ever. But thank you, Dave Roberts, for going to the Olympics and representing Oklahoma like a true champion. And so lastly, I want to introduce you to Patrick Callan. Now, Patrick Callan is a brand new Olympian. He qualified this summer to go to the games in Tokyo. I have seen Patrick Callan swim because he competed the same time one of my sons was competing in high school swim. And he was a phenom. I mean, he won all of his races by a long distance. He swims at the University of Michigan now. And he went to Bishop Kelly High School, and he's from Tulsa. He is a relay member on the 4x200 meter freestyle relay in this year's Olympic Games. So you don't want to miss it. Get on there and yell. I mean, like, he can hear you. I know, but it's just the thought that counts, right? Get your flag. Give it some USA, USA, while Patrick is in the pool, and let's cheer him on to a victory. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, we're very proud of Patrick Callan and the potential. I mean, this may be the face of Olympic swim for many years to come. I hope he makes every U.S. team he tries for and wins all kinds of championships as he competes around the world. And we wish him the very, very best in this year's Olympics. And that completes my Trail Talk two-part series on Oklahoma Olympians. Thank you so much for joining us on this. The Olympics start Friday. Yay! Actually, there have been some games happening already. I mean, U.S. women won their first softball game last night. U.S. women unfortunately lost their first soccer game last night. But get on there, find it, stream it, whatever you need to do, and let's cheer for our Olympians. And remember all those athletes who have worked so hard and either have had a positive COVID test and had to leave, or they have an injury, or they just have a bad day when they're competing. And just remember to just be positive, because they have worked so hard. Can you imagine the nerves? Anyway, Bethany, whenever it's time for us to sign off, we ask everyone to unmute themselves. You're unmuted now, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope so.
Yes, you are. I can hear you. And anyway, Bethany is going to join us here on Trail Talk tomorrow as we visit about the National Day of the Cowboy, which is happening right here at the Heritage Center, a celebration on Saturday from 10 to 2. The Heritage Center is free for anyone who wants to come visit all day. Our special activities will just be in that 4-hour time slot, but we have so many fun things slated. And you can go to our Facebook page or our website on thechisholmtrail.com and see what all we have planned. Bethany was going to be here actually, and some things changed her plans. But we are thrilled that she's going to be with us on Trail Talk tomorrow. And she's got some really great information she's going to share about the National Day of the Cowboy. Believe it or not, it isn't something that we do here at the Heritage Center only. It is an event that's happening, I believe, Bethany, you told me, even worldwide.
Yeah, there used to be events in, well, we had what we called the British Cowboys, who celebrated at their ranch in London every year. Okay. The Canadian Wild West show, they always carried the National Day of the Cowboy flag. So, and then we had friends who traveled to Ireland and took their flag with them and sent us pictures of them with the mayor. And of course we had, and he may be at your event on Saturday, his name is Russell Anderson. He was the head of the Desert Cowboys who took their flag to Iraq and Afghanistan with them and flew their National Day of the Cowboy flag. He lives in Lawton now.
Wow, so, that would be such a pleasure.
Yeah, we tried to send them cowboy stuff while they were in Iraq. You know, we got Western Horseman to send them magazines and Western Jubilee to send them cowboy music, because Russell used to write to me, and one day he said, you know, we need cowboy stuff here. So
stuff over here.
Yeah, so I hope you get to meet him. He was planning to come. I'll send you his email address.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Well, Bethany, while you're unmuted, it's time for us to sign off, guys. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon at 3. And Bethany, we're going to say happy trails together. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. Happy trails.
Happy trails.